Hello, and welcome to Critical Tumble, where a bunch of, a denuded bunch of longtime friends and internet users transcend geography through the power of Discord to play Dungeons and Dragons and cause minor nervous breakdowns in the DM, but that's kind of what a party is. Actually, a friend of mine, when I was telling them way back when how I was, what we were doing, and I mentioned that when we were talking about sun life domain cleric is the Tempest. No, Palor. Go realms or go home. My response is no. I'm just gonna take all the bits I like from every place and stitch them together into something wonderful, like Dr. Frankenstein. It being a conglomerate of odd parts that will eventually kill you. If that's not the textbook definition of a D&D party, I don't know what is. That kind of shut him up, so that's okay. Anyway, previously, after defeating the white dragon Varidel, nearly getting gunged in the process, they found a few bits and pieces in the inn that was once the capital of Gray's Inn. Mostly a lot of the spy work and information gathering, and they were clearly looking to take down Giant the Third, probably by getting in touch with you guys for addendums and bits of information, particularly given that the bits they put together were all put together only a couple of days at most before Varidel hit Gray's Inn like the proverbial freight train. But they've got that information now, and interesting interlude regarding dire moose with wings, which is going to last about the day. If this whole proceeding takes longer than a day, well, at least we have rope, and getting down is probably a little bit easier than getting up. Currently, they're sort of squished as much as they can be into an office that has a not so much a secret door as a kind of a hole in the wall that seems to burrow. Not even that implies it was deliberate. This is more of a crunch. But only about 2 feet by 2 feet. It's not very big. It's somebody small crunched through there, or it was at one point bigger. Kind of hard to tell with the state of disrepair that happens when a ancient white dragon kind of lands on your building. What we were going to do was Alice was going to have a quick look in with the clairvoyance just to see what's beyond in so much as she can. So it takes a bit of a look. Traces the chain and okay. Closes her eyes. Seems to just be listening. And then, okay, well, the tunnel is bigger than the hole by a fair bit. So I don't think there's that much wall to get through. And it's only particularly rough hewn for like 100 yards or so. It starts looking a bit more built. It's still, a lot of it's still hewn out of the stone, but it's not rough. Hang on. And starts kind of
wondering what that means.
Well, she's currently looking at the rubble around the hole, trying to clear bits of it out of the way, and hits something, removes It's a part. I mean, it's a plank basically. It seems to have been part of an actual secret door.
Oh,
This is old. I don't know if they knew this was here, but I have a feeling that at one point, probably a long time ago, there was a path down to where somebody subterranean lived. One that they were happy to actually have, probably for envoys or whatever. And consider where Shanaira was, where we found her.
yeah. My brain kind of went along similar lines.
And I imagine they probably hid that door from further on down the tunnel, so we might find another barrier, but if there is one, it's past where I was looking.
Right.
But I didn't go the full mile.
Sounds like we need to go down there,
Well, it's
at least
level
for a ways.
it's level for a little while. I don't know whether it goes up or down, but it certainly goes in. That's the problem with the big cliff. It's well, I mean, we remember from approaching it from the Egref side. Uh, Anybody want to help me see if we can dig out what the door used to be?
Certainly.
So yeah, given that
Okay.
it's
Well, you
given
you two probably are
yeah, given
best
that
at
given
it, so let
that
me back up and get out of the way.
given that it's Alice and Barnabas, she'll roll with advantage. Yeah, it doesn't take them particularly long. There's it's a surprisingly large hole, but it's still not quite enough for a dire moose. Faraday just sort of suggests, why don't Brylan and I stay here with Legolas? Explore a little bit further in, see what you find, and you can call us as backup. I mean, is there room for Legolas beyond this hole? Alice sort of peers in. Yeah, I think so. It's taller and wider in there. Hazel, if you want to leave us your dust of disappearing, we can probably make the hole for Legolas to go through if when you need us. You're muted and not. Hello?
Yep.
Yes.
No, I'm here. It's just forgot to mute and was searching for it. Sorry about that.
No, that's okay. But yeah, you've got Faraday going. If you leave us the dust of disappearing, we can follow when.
I'm producing the dust
Mm,
package thing.
yeah, Faraday takes it and first sort of let me know how it worked. So I think we can manage that, and if not, it might take a little longer. But stone is just a different kind of earth,
Mm-hmm.
so
It's true.
right. Usual formation, I guess. I think going in, it's mostly you two who can't see in the dark overly well. We'll lead and we'll produce some light if you need it, but we haven't quite looking in, I haven't quite seen anything that's really going to require anything like that. I don't think, anyway. We'll just be alert. So yeah, it's Barnabas, Darvin, and Ava kind of in the middle with
I'll go towards the front.
that leaves probably leaves you with me, because we probably want heels out sort of towards the back, and one really heavy hitter on each end is probably a good idea.
Yep.
Okay, and let's do this. Has to duck a little to get into the hole and tighten her wings in a bit. And yeah, Barnabas is going to have to duck a fair bit.
Not the first time, won't be the last.
No, but it's only to get through what used to be a door frame. When you get through that, you can straighten up, and there's a good 8-10 inches of ceiling between the tips of Barnabas's horns and the ceiling.
Hmm.
Yeah, and the first 100 yards or so really are fairly rough hewn. There's just sort of something carved in. But when you get that rough hewn stone turns into far more evenly carved stone, at the point where you also see a couple of torch brackets. So somebody was using this at some point. Alice trails a finger along along one of the torch brackets. Oh, that's a lot of dust. Don't think anyone's been using those for a while.
I'm gonna look for traps or anything kind of weird along the way.
Okay, perception.
Ah! Seems fine to me.
No.
Yeah, you're... That's the thing. You kind of missed the bit. You even missed the bit about the torch brackets being dusty, because there's a runic kind of language that you don't understand at this precise moment. But of course, you do have your I can read all languages, so it's more of a you kind of stop, because there's things carved into the walls. You're not entirely sure what the language is, but you can read it. It appears to be you're not entirely sure, but it seems to be some kind of poem to Lolth before Lolth was evil. So, Clarity probably doesn't precisely move or notice much of anything beyond this little psalm, if you like, until say Darvin probably is. I figure Darvin, Barnabas, Ava, Hazel, Remy, and until sort of Darvin bumped into her as she's.
Holy
oh,
shit!
oh,
This place
sorry.
is so old.
What is it?
There's written on the walls. It's a poem to Lolth, but before she was evil.
Huh.
Keep having a look along the walls, Clarity, because if there's that, there might be some other bits and pieces too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Look around.
it's built over.
You go a little further, and Clarity does see more writing. This isn't really translatable. Give me an intelligence check.
Okay. Just straight intelligence.
Yeah.
Okay. Great, guys! 7!
There's a few bits and pieces that are throwing you. Because a lot of these don't make sense as words. Because you're obviously not translating alphabetically. You're translating what the word means. And most of these words don't have meaning. But you do have some. You have Bryony, Laurel, Brooke. Random words.
What was that first one?
Bryony. But with that intelligence roll, you can't figure out what this is. This could be, potions formulas for all you know. There's a lot of plant names.
I don't know what all of this means exactly. There's a lot of plant names like Laurel, Bryony.
Names.
Oh.
Maybe it's actually names of like people.
And yeah, that actually makes sense when you think about it. A lot more so than a really weird potion formula anyway. And
Yeah, that could be.
I mean, you do find as you go further down the list more of the kind of things that tieflings would take as virtue names, but only the ones that are also used as like humanoid names. Charity, Prudence. They probably sound different, but that's what the words read to you.
These are. I mean, if they were tiefling names, they would sound like Charity or Prudence, things like that. But I don't know the exact words, of course, but that's what they mean.
Hang on. I think I have a way of figuring this out. Touches her tongue to the roof of her mouth for a minute, and then starts reading the words out so that she and Darvin can understand them, because her tongue stud gives her tongues. Being able to read a language isn't quite the same as being able to understand a language. And, she's going through words, and I mean, none of them really do translate, but they sound more like names than anything else. For Hazel, they sound vaguely familiar because they sound, very, very antiquated, but they sound a little bit like the more formal types of Elven.
Sounds like, and I'm going to, thankfully, hopefully not. My hovercraft is full of eels. This elven word.
Yeah,
it's
still a name. Everybody else, Clarity, you can try again, but everybody else, roll me a perception check.
7.
Whoa!
It's Barnabas that gets it, and it's probably not a surprise. He's seen messages done under various bits of stress. The last few names on this list, newer than the rest, though it's not saying much. It's still very old. It's probably 70, 80 years old, and it's carved deep but inexpertly. Probably by somebody young for the breed and scared. And you remember from what they've all been saying that, you know, the one who's half knowledge and wisdom goddess was from here, and she lost her clan. Those last names on that bit of carving were probably her clan.
Hmm.
Hmm?
No.
No, what? If you know something, we need to know it, because we ain't seen it.
The last words, the names here, they're carved real by looks like someone young and scared. Wasn't this?
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Oh no. Because we went down here when
Yeah, we were on the other side, but we don't know where tunnels are and where they go. But this must have
this
been
is in the
something.
cliff.
This must have been something important to the Drow way back when, and this was the only place she knew to make sure they were remembered. Shit.
Oh, bloody hell.
Well, I don't know how much she knows, but you know that if this is the case, we're probably going to trip over where her village or whatever they had. Maybe that's not such a bad thing. Maybe we'll at least know what happened.
Bring us some closure.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, looking at these, a lot of its names, and, I mean, Clarity, you see this. Some of these are, they read like ancient prayers for the dead.
Yeah.
Oh, boy. This whole day is just gonna be a punch to the gut, isn't it?
If not one to the soul, though hopefully not literally given the stuff.
Yeah. But we still have things to be going on with. I mean, also, if there's a set up village not far from here, that might be where we end up because of what we're looking for. Darwin and I didn't get a where, but the setting wasn't too different to this, just less carvings. Right, moving on. It goes on for a little while. You've probably gone a couple of miles, though, at the speed at which you guys walk. It's not that long. When Alice sort of holds up a hand. Hold up. There's a drop. And there's a lot of open space beyond it. I do an aerial scouting because there's more space up than there is down, but if there's any light down there, I'm going to reflect an awful lot of it.
Yeah, and if multiple things attack you up there, that's not going to be a good idea.
Well, I'm not so much worried about up there, I'm worried about down there. But here's a thought. disguise self, but the hair is a sort of clarity shade of blue, and so are the wings.
Oh, that's clever. Worth a try.
And anyway, if I'm not back in 5 minutes, send help, I guess.
We'll catch up pretty quickly.
Sort of shuffles long enough to give Remy a kiss on the forehead, and then okay. Does anybody want to kind of give a basic investigation of their surroundings before carry on?
Probably look around.
I do.
Perception for those of you what want to, then.
What the hell?
Oh my god.
Okay, I'm rolling hot today.
To be fair, you should probably be rolling at disadvantage because you do not have dark vision, and it is dark here.
Ha! Par for the course.
I think we've been subjected to the curse of 2s and the curse of 3s.
Yeah.
Should I
11's the
roll?
final win for me. I rolled twice because you're right. I should have rolled without with disadvantage as well. So 11.
Should I reroll too?
Well, roll one more. That's unfortunate because
Yeah. Oh well.
yeah, it's. I mean, in all fairness, Remy probably has particular reasons to be a little bit more alert about the surroundings and trying to figure out if we do have to chase after her, how we're going to be doing it. And it's her and to an extent Barnabas who have done watches together, so they kind of know how to keep a lookout on things. And you've moved out of the memorial territory, and that dip, that drop that Alice was talking about, there is a very narrow, very steep flight of moderately well carved stone steps going down. From the acoustics, it sounds like it goes down a good 100 feet. And the stairs themselves probably switch back on themselves. Goodness only knows how they carved them, but...
There's the path they took to get out of the Underdark.
That's gotta be it, yeah. I'm sorry. Is that just the most dangerous set of carved steps you ever seen? Like,
Yeah, it's not something I would want to do on a regular basis.
I don't know much about the Underdark, but it certainly doesn't sound very inviting.
yeah, it's just I don't know why I'm fixated on it, but whoever carved these is whatever. If he was getting paid, I hope they're getting paid, and whatever it wasn't enough. Because that's
yeah. Although for Barnabas, he knows a thing or two about making sure that the entryways that are supposed to be used by very specific people, which you'd imagine it would be some kind of envoy if they were going directly into into an overground dwelling. You probably want it to be as hidden, which, given this one's hard to see from probably both ends, and as inimical as possible. So that only the people who, trained and are used to doing it that are going to go up and potentially barge into somebody's office.
mm-hmm.
So his fixation on it eventually ends with it makes sense, but I would still hate to have that job. Then again, to be a diplomat, you probably need nerves of steel anyway. A little while later, just, yeah. Harder to see her, especially for those of you without dark vision. So, Barnabas, Darfin, and Ava probably get a little bit of a start when, wing sounds at the top of the staircase. Guys, it's just me. Drops the disguised self. Well, it's definitely a village. Small town, maybe. It's also very, very old. I didn't see anyone or anything down there, but I didn't get very close. But I have a feeling that things have been used down there. There's what I guess was a marketplace. Most of the dwellings are kind of carved into bits of rock. And I should warn you guys now, there are some remains. They're not gushy or anything, but
Lovely.
not. Oh, okay, fine. They're not. It's not viscera anyway. The viscera isn't that shade of black. This probably was where. I don't know where Shannira's clan is now, if they left some of Furseth and Faraday's people alive to be turned. I imagine that they wouldn't have done much different with Drow. But I didn't see anything moving down there. But we're gonna have to investigate because...
Yeah, and obviously be very, very careful, because just because it's not moving doesn't mean it won't.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I didn't get too near. I don't want my wife to yell at me.
Mm. Yeah, let's take that nice and slow and together.
Agreed.
How do you
Agreed.
get down there, though?
Stairs.
Stairs.
Oh, right.
I know they look a little, and Barnabas, I might, actually take you down.
Yeah, the hooves might.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Okay.
Stairs like that and my hooves are not a good combination.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna get Barnabas down to the bottom. And then I'm gonna kind of follow the rest of you. Just in case. Because there's no railing on this thing.
Yeah, probably a good idea.
Okay.
Very
I'm
good
gonna
idea.
wait. Yeah,
So-
I'll wait.
Just give me a second. And just kind of... Hold on. And scoops Barnabas under the armpits and... And down they go. Puts Barnabas down at the bottom and says, You've got more flights than everybody, up to and including my wife.
I appreciate it.
It's cool. It's good. It's good arm workout. Good for the core too.
Darvin watching the takeoff just sort of glances over at Remy going, that never gets old to see, does it?
No.
That is just awesome.
And then sort of flies back up. Okay, everybody's got to be careful now.
Mhm.
Then again, if you two get into too much in the way of trouble, I'm assuming you've still got some Misty Step left or Dimension Door left. So
Yep.
fingers crossed you won't need it, but I just like to know what everybody's capabilities are. So if more than one of you goes, I know.
Prioritize.
Yeah, I don't want anybody to splat.
Yeah, and if need be, I can grab.
Yeah,
and
that's
someone
what I
to-
mean.
that's the other
But
thing. Oh, I
there's
see, my
still,
bad.
there's 2 of you and 3 of them.
Sweet.
Point.
You go one by one. That's probably not a good idea, is it?
No.
No.
Much as there are days that I wish I could become like a piece of Palor's sun and float through the air on fire, I can't do that.
I think that would be a little bit more showboaty than we need. I'm bad enough.
Is it possible to go down, like Ava and I, like maybe like I'll go, Ava, I'll go first. You go behind me with your hand on my shoulder. That way, if either one of us does get
But-
unsteady, then
but that-
we're already that close.
That's the problem.
To be
It
able to,
still leaves one more.
Wow.
So basically, what you want to do is you want to set up and quickly, because I don't want to leave Barnabas down there on his own. Ava, Darvin, Clarity, Remy, Hazel. Darvin, if Ava starts to go, if Clarity starts to go, and I'll be there to catch Hazel.
Sounds good.
And I shouldn't worry about you guys, as you're a bit more dexterous than the average. So, but okay.
There we go.
Given the way you guys are rolling tonight, I am tempting fate, but
Oh boy.
I would like you all to roll me dex checks. Not acrobatics. This isn't acrobatics. This is
Just straight
dex.
Okay.
I'm half
11.
wondering if it
Woohoo!
qualify as saving throw territory.
Double digits.
Nice.
All right.
And Darvin's so worried about making sure Ava's okay. He got a little wobbly.
No, he didn't get a little wobbly. He fell.
Oh, great. Oh, well.
Oh no.
To be fair, you do have time to dimension door. Yes, yeah, you got him watching Ava, and about halfway down on the turn, and
Yeah. And
poof.
yeah, very quickly, just reaching out in the air, turning a knob, opening it.
And lands basically right at Barnabas's hooves,
Like the door opens.
basically around about his nose level, and then poof.
Yep. So you see the shimmer, and then he's right there, like right in front of your face, and then blink, blink, wham.
In which case,
Not a whole lot of damage, but it was
4.
from that height.
4
That
points
works.
of
Landed on his face.
yeah. So kind
All
of
right.
kind of bloody nose.
Barnabas picks him up.
Offing some of the dirt out of his nostrils.
With the blood, because
Yeah. Oh, jeez. Ow, ow, ow.
and the rest of you get down fairly quickly. In point of fact, yeah, 15 was your target.
You okay, Darvin?
That's just my nose. Ow.
You know that you could just pretend there's a trapdoor you're kicking open, right? Turn your feet towards the floor and then, like you're hitting a trapdoor or water or something.
I panicked.
Okay. I just letting you know that I'm hoping that by talking you through this that you'll
Thank you.
develop new panic reactions.
To be fair, well, to be fair, it's the first time I've done that while falling, so. Ow. I don't think it's broken too much.
It's not broken, it's just bloody. And you're going to have some very impressive black eyes.
Well, jeez. Gling. That's better.
Everybody else okay?
Yep.
In front of you is, you appear to be in a slightly wide spot, but sort of blocked in by buildings beyond a fairly narrow alleyway between two good-sized, very old stone buildings. These ones were not so much, some parts of it, mostly the back walls, were carved out of the rock, and they've been shaped a little to come in. You're basically in some kind of courtyard, and at the end of that little alleyway is a fairly sturdy looking, if somewhat age tarnished, wrought iron gate. And yes, it is locked.
Give this a try.
You know what to do.
Yep. $19.
Yeah, the tumblers are stiff, and this thing has not been opened in a long time from the feel of it, and you're kind of worried that you're about to break one of your thieves' tools, but the lock gives before it does. Just. We're gonna
Hold
get
it.
we're gonna get you in every gadget. Next time we're in Agref, we're going to get you in every gadget.
I will make note of it. She writes that down.
You'd like the Explorer Society anyway. It's things like Hazel's dapper outfits, and they also specialize in maps. Mm.
All the hidden libraries. All of them.
I don't know if I think they were more geography, but
Yeah, but maps of geography can be used to find the
potentially,
best hidden libraries.
potentially, don't give her don't give her certainties when there's only possibilities.
That's fair.
You don't want to disappoint your true love, do you? Weep on the nose.
Clarity's turning colors.
We need a little bit of warm and fuzzy before we go out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. The gate opens with a rather unfortunate of rusted wrought iron hinge. And you come out onto. It's not as podunk as Goldendale, but it's certainly not like any of the cities that the Equitas or Ravnica born individuals are used to. If anything, it's a little like Star Coast. The buildings are more carved into rock than anything else. There are a few freestanding structures that seem to have been, because the ground is stone as well, and they seem to have carved buildings out of the ground. They basically excised themselves a township. The amount of digging this must have taken and how they did it, you have no idea. But it's a smallish town. You can see, buildings, and not so much in the way of shops, but there's a wide area towards the center that probably used to be a market, given the large buildings to either side of the alley and the door you just came through. This is probably what passes for them as an upmarket district. Wherever clan leader might have lived. For Barnabas, this is they don't. Things don't work like this in Ravnica. I mean, Equitas was weird, but at the very least, Egref is at league weird. This is, I really am not from around here weird.
You'd think I'd stop feeling like this after so much time here.
This isn't like anything we know either.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, being underground, no.
Those of
Something about it reminds me a little of Star Coast, but I think that's just in terms of scale.
those of you with dark vision do actually see that there's a certain. I mean, the buildings are old, thus the decorative carvings on them are old. There is a certain spider and cobweb motif, but it's not, this is Halloween kind of thing. There's a feel of pattern and order and building from basically nothing in the feel of the carvings on the architecture. It's just molding in very precise spiderweb patterns with a very tidy little 8-legged spider in the center. The more important the buildings are, the more of that fresco-y kind of thing they have. This part seems pretty much untouched. I don't know if we look in buildings or move out from the center. Most of the damage was done in the center.
Does it sound like there's any sounds around us that aren't from us?
Perception check. I mean, you're listening rather than looking, but
11.
there's too much echo from,
Makes sense.
and that's another good reason to try the center of the space, because you've got, this is a road, a very empty road, and given the amount of wall and the amount of space or lack thereof, there's going to be, your voices are bouncing off this.
Am I able to figure out if there's like a center to the destruction, like where it might have been heavier or
Well, LSA did just say that it seemed to be the heaviest at the center around the market square.
but I mean especially within this area, like if there was like a focus or if it's just generalized in
Well,
the marketplace.
I mean, we're not at the marketplace yet. Right now, you're standing on the other
Okay.
side of that of that gate, and all you can really see are predominantly untouched looking buildings, because everything else, if there was gonna be goo, there would have been goo on that gate because somebody would have been trying to get through it. So we can't really tell because there's buildings in the way.
I gotcha.
I guess we start at the focal point and move out from there.
Yeah,
Works for me.
but we're gonna
I
want to
agree.
remember this end for more than just it's probably our way out. It's entirely possible that if there's something worth finding, it's in one of those buildings, but probably best to have a look around, and something a little bit closer to ground level than I got. It's a tense kind of walk in the same pattern as you were using on the... There is one thing that Ava, Darwin, and Barnabas notice a little bit more than the rest of us. You're actually getting to see more things as you start getting closer. Something around here is giving off, albeit very faint, light. It's like being out in, say, a forest on a new moon night. But it's not the kind of pitch black you'd think about from underground. It's not really enough for those with dark vision to notice, but with the ones with dark vision, just it's dark and we can see fine. But for you guys, you can almost see.
Is it me, or is it oddly bright down here?
Okay, I was
Well,
about to
I
say
mean, not
that.
bright, but yeah, it's not dark like it
You
was.
think it should be, yeah.
Something's giving off light somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there are things underground that do that, and it's.
Yeah.
I mean, tutors covered some of that back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
Generally
And we saw
mushrooms.
some of that. Yeah, well, and we saw some of that under Star Coast, I think, if I remember correctly. Huh. Okay, carry on then, I guess.
And
That's just kind of weird, but makes sense.
you start understanding it a little bit better as you start getting into more smaller and more average residential buildings. Apparently, you see what you'd take for either really weird torch brackets or those little glass bubble stars that you'd find in Egref, but the lantern glass is long shattered and the faintly glowing lichen that was in them is starting to spread a little across the walls.
You see that? Oh, okay.
That must be where it's coming from.
Well, yeah.
I mean, to be
And
fair,
it's a little more. It's a little more. It's covering a bigger area, but it's also more diffuse because it's not in the lanterns themselves to be.
and it wouldn't have been very bright anyway. I mean, you know what Shannira's like.
That's true.
Then again, I don't imagine she even had these for most of her life. Wish we could tell which house was hers. I don't know what she is, but she had a life once.
I don't know. I don't know that there'd be any way to. Well, maybe if there was some sort of a record building or something.
Or we could
or
ask
indicators on houses.
or we could ask Hazel to ask Paylor.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
Let's give a preliminary look around first to make sure we're not going to be in any danger when we start lighting incense.
Yeah. Okay.
Don't worry, I'd only just thought of that myself, so.
Part of me is like, I mean, I know we can. I don't know. It's important to us, and it's important to Shannira.
Paylor is as much a hearth and harvest god as a
True. Okay, that's fair.
and justice. How is losing everything just?
Very true.
Yeah, good points. Okay.
It's down to Hazel in the end. She's the cleric, but from my own understanding of the individual, I don't think this would be seen as a waste of time question.
Yeah, that was my only hesitation there. But yeah, I could see where you're coming. You're right. Yeah.
Moving along further in, you get buildings of a slightly more commercial, I guess, bent. There's what appears to be some kind of cross between woodworker and stonemason, because obviously you don't get a lot of wood down here, but the kinds of things you can make out of stone to replace wood, they do it here. What appears to be a blacksmith forge. The forge, when you start getting close, I mean, we all know what a forge looks like just on the basis of generally biggest chimney. This one is covered with things much darker than the faintly phosphorescent lichen, though in the same kind of spready patterns. Seems to be oozing down a bit from the chimney, out a bit from the windows, out around the door frame, through the cracks between the door and the frame.
Kind of terrifying.
Yeah, I didn't get a very close look at this, but we're not far from the market now.
Mind your feet.
And not much further in, it opens out onto what at one point would have been a very nice sort of market courtyard. A bit reminiscent of the market square in Goldendale rather than the kinds of markets you get in Star Coast, because it's all around a center point. In Goldendale, it's the gazebo. Here, it's a fountain. Given the couple of buckets that are alongside, it seems to have been as much well as fountain, but they made it decorative. Unfortunately, what's leaking from it and pooling in the base isn't water anymore. You can kind of hear the occasional as little runnels of the black sludge ooze down what used to be a probably really nice sort of 3-tier wedding cakey kind of fountain deal. Around the rest of it, it's obvious that the marketplace is newer than the buildings around it. This was not the first settlers that made this market. Might have been the first settlers that made the fountain, but particularly for Clarity, who's got a pretty good grasp of history, and Remy and Barnabas, who've seen refugees making homes in well-appointed ruins. The original dwellers here probably left, probably around the time when Lolth went evil. And the drow that lived there in Shannira's time came back thinking the place forgotten. Unfortunately, given the look of the marketplace, it was very much not forgotten. The stalls aren't particularly colorful the way you all would expect them to be. Color sight is not particularly valued down here, but they were still at least bits to divide up their space in a nice way. Now they are shattered and splattered with some of the black gunk. Some of it, it's hard to really differentiate, but some of it is various different kinds of ichor. Not necessarily blood, ichor, because in one of them is what it takes a moment to identify as a fairly large spider's leg. as in the size of a horse. Look a little further, and the potentially mercifully downed body of a drider, which I think Barnabas and Remy are the ones who are most familiar with those. Darvin and Alice have heard stories, and Clarity's read a few things. But for Hazel and Ava, Barnabas and Remy used to fight these things a fair bit. You found them a lot in the in the more subterranean southern lands issues, and now you're finally seeing what connection they have to the Drow, because you never saw Drow there, just the Driders. Seeing them in a Drow encampment, you can see they are Drow plus. And Alice is just like, oh, I'm really glad that I picked you guys up before I took a closer look at this. I never wanted to see one of these.
No,
Are
you
they?
definitely don't.
Yeah.
This is a Drider. This is a... There's a lot of different stories, so everyone take with a grain of salt. When Lolth went bad, she had her chosen same... She still had her chosen same as any other god. And she chose same as any other god. Put it to you this way. I got wings. They got that.
Ugh.
So they're spider people?
Mm. Mm.
They are ascended drow, basically. I don't know how they do that. I don't want to know how they do that.
No thanks.
Ugh.
They are dangerous. That's about where I am with that. They are favored of Lolth, and they are dangerous.
Noted.
And you two are familiar with them. Then again, a lot of the stories I heard about those did originate from...
Unfortunately familiar.
Yeah. They're both dangerous and obnoxious to deal with.
I will buy you a drink and get stories about that later.
Gonna need a couple drinks.
Yeah, well, maybe we'll share a Drider kill before that. I'm not sure whether to hope for that or not. The people in me hopes, yes, but, you know.
That's fair. I gotta admit that's fair.
Yeah. Killing them's definitely worthwhile. Just wish it could be somebody else doing it, you know?
Yeah. Not looking forward to it, but expecting it.
Of course.
As you're looking, it's kind of hard to get individual corpses. The main reason you're seeing the Drider is because large and fairly mercifully killed. This was obviously the Drow encampment mounting a defense. They killed a few. You can mostly tell because all the bodies are Drow of some type. Because the ones that were Shannira's people, there aren't as many of them as they should be if they slaughtered the entire encampment, for one. And for two, they were the ones that died messy. The corrupted Drow, the few you find one other Drider corpse and maybe a dozen of people in priestly regalia in that same symbol sewn into it that Clarity found on that note. The one that Rylan said, if you see anybody wearing that, run.
That's the same symbol
And
that
given
Rylan pointed out.
given how close you're looking, there's a couple of other things about the corpse. You might need to call Hazel for some of it. It's a little hard to tell in some cases because they're all pretty scarred up with defensive cuts, but a few of the more prominently dressed, you think, priestly types, in all three cases of those that you're finding, their right hands are mangled and burned. You'd need Hazel to tell you whether that's someone did it to them or they did it on purpose to themselves. You can't really tell, but given you're dealing with somebody who wields the hand of Vecna, that's probably worth investigating.
Hazel, can you come take a look at this? I'm not the most religious person. But-
Actually, it's less the religion, it's more the medicine.
or
I'm gonna head
medicinal
over.
Yeah, I mean, you're looking at... It's like somebody pulled all the fingernails out, whammed them several times with your old warhammer, and then dumped it and then stuck it in molten oil for about a minute. That's what you can tell on first inspection. You'd need to...
This being while the hand was still on.
Well, the hand is still on, but you'd need to investigate further to see what...
I'm going to. Can I? This is something I can medicine check.
Yeah, this is exactly something you can medicine check.
22.
Yeah,
Scalpel out.
Yeah, looking at the wrists and the extent of the injuries and further on from that. I mean, it's hard because the corpses are old, but somehow they haven't rotted the way you'd expect them to. The old clan members didn't either. Not entirely sure why. That's beyond medicine, really. But as far as you can tell from this arm and some of the superficial burns further up the arm, yeah, nobody did that to them, because if somebody did that to them, there'd probably still be marks from where they resisted having it done. But that was either done willingly or they did it to themselves. Probably the former, because it's really hard to actually pull your own fingernails off. So they probably had help for a couple of stages, but no one tied them down and forced them.
These were all willing.
You mean like that?
They had
You mean like that?
help with some of the bits, obviously, because you can't really.
You mean
do
like
that to
that
your own
guy
nails.
who was basically, had his throat cut while...
Right, yeah. At the drow camp.
Hmm.
And the
That was-
one
they
who
look
got
like they
kind
were
of
naked.
disassembled, if I remember right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You're muted, Ethan.
Yeah, drained basically.
Is this more? If we see more fleshcraft shit,
Don't even.
Well, we're at the epicenter, and at the very least, the patches of black are easy to avoid thus far. Let's take a minute, look at something besides the bodies, which I have to admit I'm a little bit weirded out that they haven't... I mean, I saw bones. I wasn't looking in corners for this shit. We'll have a look around and decide how best to search this place. Because we are at what is currently break time. We'll be back in 5 minutes for the rest of it. And we're back in the middle of Ooze Town, frankly. That's the thing. You don't really have a name for the town. It's just currently it's Ooze Town because that is what it is doing. It is oozing. In at least mostly in the in the central market, and some weird bullshit's going on in the blacksmith shop. So I mean, LSA is just sort of looking and going, I mean, I think the big thing for me at this point is trying to determine if anyone's been living here.
Not more recently, you mean?
Yeah, just on the basis that, I mean, talking about the flesh crafting thing, was that were the ones that were out there from here. I didn't see any underground methods of getting to that spot under the blind harpy, but that doesn't mean there wasn't one. Because it might give us some kind of idea of who ransacked the place and from what direction.
Wasn't there a tunnel we collapsed back at that place?
Yeah, I mean, we didn't investigate that very much, but
I mean, is that possible?
I don't see why not. If you've gotten there's
a long way, though.
there's plenty of down, and
heck of a
you remember when we were getting to the Blue Dragon, a lot of down, a lot of up, and once you hit that cliff, you don't necessarily know how up you are because of how high this thing is. Okay. I think at this point, I'm currently the fastest of us. Because we can't keep leaving Rylan and Faraday up there. I will go get them. I have one sending left. If there's a problem, I will make sure you know about it. Looks at Remy. I will make sure you know about it.
Thank you.
I am trusting y'all not to let her panic. I mean, this is as good a place to start as any. Stay within yelling distance of each other, but you might need to spread out a little. I'll leave the sorting of that out up to you because you're currently half and half on who has dark vision and who doesn't. Although at the very least, not all of those lichen things are covered by black gunk, so that's something. I'll leave it to you. I'll be back as soon as I can, potentially on a winged... Well, I won't be on the winged moose, but they probably will. Well, I don't want to leave you guys too long.
Refresh. AM.
What?
I remember Hazel needing to ask a divination type question.
Yeah, that doesn't necessarily have to happen now. The divination question was which house Shannira lived in, whether she wants to pick that up when Alice is gathering people. That's up to her and up to the rest of the group. This is just Alice going, we can't just leave them there. They'll start to wonder where the hell we are. And you know how nervous Rylan gets.
Mm-hmm.
And besides, Faraday isn't going to want to miss this.
Yeah, that's very true.
So yeah, I mean, stay within shouting distance here in the market, and I'll be back as soon as I can. Try not to get yourselves into any kind of trouble. And then
Do our best.
And off she goes. And that leaves the 6 of you.
So then, do I make with the asking now, or do we wait for everyone?
You might as well, I guess.
I would say
Don't see
wait.
any harm in-
Well,
Yeah, we don't know what's around here. We might need that energy.
And we might need, yeah, we might better to have more eyes around just in case.
That is a good point.
We split up and sort of see what's going on here, see if there's anything we can find.
And,
Man.
for,
Two and
for-
two.
Teams of two, like we did previously.
Yeah.
One with dark vision, one without. Seems like a good idea.
Okay.
Tim agrees.
I was about to say team of 2.5, maybe. I didn't know Sapphire could meow. Anyway,
this Sapphire actually pokes head out of the bag. Still has the little plush wings. It's sort of, yeah, it's like I'm getting scritches. Okay. And Butterscotch rather indignantly pops head out of Ava's bag.
Thank you.
I'm not getting pets. Okay, now I'm
Yeah,
getting pets.
There you go. Good.
And then back into the bag.
so yeah. How do we want to split up?
So dark vision is Remy, Clarity, and Hazel.
Yep.
And as an out of character aside, Remy and Barnabas are used to working together.
That was my thought. So Remy, Barnabas,
Ava, you're good at, I don't know, observing things better than I am.
I mean,
You do have a better overall perception than she does.
guess so, yeah.
all right.
You
So
have
Hazel.
awareness. You, Ava, you need that awareness to hit shots accurately. It's why you're so good at spotting stuff.
True.
I just notice things because Paylor directs my attention to it. You actually see things.
Give yourself more credit, darling.
What she said.
I'm
See?
talking to you.
I mean,
Speaking of not noticing things,
anyway.
I'm going to absolutely just smooch the bejesus out of Clarity for a couple seconds and then grab Darvin and pick a direction.
Be careful.
stay within earshot, everybody. Like Alice said.
Okay, so if you're assuming a sort of circular market area from around the fountain,
Mm-hmm.
the blacksmith shop will use as a compass point the blacksmith shop you passed as your north. You're probably not going to go near that building unless you absolutely have to. So that makes it as good a point as any. Which direction are you going to go? The north would be towards the blacksmith. South would be the opposite way. And so on.
Hazel, if you don't have no preference, I say we go opposite.
Door.
Okay. I just would like to put a bit of distance between us and that for at least a little while. The noises are getting to me.
Well, to be fair, that it's the fountains that's making the noise.
That too.
It just looks like things are trying to crawl out of the blacksmith shop. So yeah, Darvin and Hazel start walking away from the fountain in the direction opposite the one of the blacksmith shop.
It's a good idea. Stay away from that for now.
And so you've kind of got left and right for the remaining.
Ooh, Remy starts moving right.
Barnabas follows her.
We'll take left.
Okay. Let's see. 1 and 2 are Remy and Barnabas. 3 and 4 are Darwin and Hazel. 5 and 6 are Clarity and Ava. That would be a 3. Going opposite the blacksmith shop, away from the fountain, one of the first things you encounter is, you think it's probably an inn of some kind. I mean, it's not much of a muchness, really, but it does have a sign that's less language and more bowl and tankard.
Shall we check it out? Looks like, I'm assuming that's an inn of sorts.
Carefully, slowly, but yes.
Okay.
So yeah, try doing my best to look first before I leap.
Okay. Give me a perception check.
Sure.
With advantage because Hazel's helping.
Okay, 1 second. Let me take that. There. Perception. Good thing. Thank you, Hazel. That was an 11 instead of a 4.
Yeah. I mean, you're not. It looks like it's a door. Can't really see anything through the one window because it's dusty and nothing appears to be particularly up with it. It's just it's a probably inn.
Okay. I will open the door slowly and standing a bit to the side of it, just in case. Remembering both the time that I got speared by the darts and also remembering the horse avalanche and just the tendency of things jumping out at doors at us and doorways and such. And so I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to stand right in front of it this time.
You open the door, which, again, creaky, rusty hinges. These haven't been changed in a while. And nothing comes out. No darts, no horses, no corpses, no nothing. Not even that much in the way of a smell unless you count dust. And you look in. The
I'm
light...
going to guidance myself and just kind of move in to look around
Spell
slowly.
card, please.
Okay.
Okay. Stepping quietly in and perception check with your additional D4.
Which you didn't need.
That puts it up to 25.
Yeah, because sometimes the number does matter. It's creepy and depressing in the way that an empty inn is creepy and depressing. It's surprisingly intact. And nothing's broken in here. It's not like anybody threw a rager of a party or whatever. But the tables and chairs are intact. There's no, Marie Celeste style bowls of leftover food, etc. Everything is covered in dust. But beyond that,
This looks like a relatively empty, possibly safe space in the area.
Yeah. I mean, do we want to give a quick, just, open the door, open all the doors, give a quick look in just to make sure?
I'm going to look back at the door for the way in. That looks like a way to would that be big enough to Warren's key? To teleport key?
Oh. It's a doorway.
End of fate. There's no keyhole in that door.
I mean, if there's an inn, I would assume the room doors would have keyholes at least.
Or,
That's debatable.
or,
Well, I mean, it's worth a look.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's not worth a look. Let's go have a look, but
Okay.
Okay, so
I will go find more doors to open in the inn, but staying in the inn, being careful, of course.
okay, you step into the inn and round about the point where you flank Hazel, the door slams shut.
delightful.
Crap.
Help! It's again. Help! It's again.
Yeah, Hazel, if Darvin is looking and moving towards the door, given that role, Hazel's going to want to stop him because she can see where he can't because there's not enough light coming into this room for anybody who doesn't have dark vision.
Just going to grab.
More of those black tendrils seem to be sealing the door shut.
Do not touch that door.
I hear do not, and I'm stopped still. Like, do not what? What? Oh, touch. Okay. Why? I can't see right now, Hazel.
Remember the stuff around the forge?
Uh-huh. Oh,
That's
great.
over that door now.
Okay. I still can't see. And we got
I'm
to get
going
out
to
of here.
grab a hold of Darvin and pull him to somewhere relatively safe looking.
I'm allowing myself to be pulled then away from the
Okay.
door. I just can't see, so I'm trying not to move and trip and bust my ass.
Yeah. Um. Yeah, you can pull Darvin to someplace relatively safe. Nothing else seems to have changed in the room, just the door is shut.
Um,
I don't want to touch that myself either, but there's a spell I could try. At the same time, I could also
Thunderwave it.
just try to blast it open.
I was about to say, I just freaking try thunder waving it. Like, or wait, how thick is that? Wait, hang on. We're probably too far away. I think. I'm wondering how well we meant to stay in earshot. We could also just freaking shout.
And you still have your teleport, so save your spells, please.
Well, save them for that, but I can do other things that aren't that.
Yeah, but you have more utility than I do. I do two things. I
know.
piece you back together,
Hold on.
and I cast beams from Palor upon things.
I can't remember how to look at the text of a spell without dropping it into the chat.
The little eye.
It's the eye icon? Thank you. 120 feet.
Given Hazel's roll, you do hear a creak sound towards the back of the inn. And Hazel knows as well as anybody that inns have a back door.
Hang on. I'm hoping this works. Gonna grab. Come on, Darvin. We don't need to go to the front. We're gonna just try and go this way. I'm gonna grab Darvin and head towards the back.
Okay. I was going to try to message in that general direction, but okay, we'll see if there's a back door.
That when we're clear of goo.
Might not have gone through the door anyway. All right.
Yeah, you get. I mean, it might not have got through the door because something magic-y bullshit is going on over here.
Mhm.
And when you get to the door, it's open and looking out on. I mean, Hazel's guidance is probably about finished by now, but most of what she's seeing is a variant on the traditional tavern kitchen garden. Yeah, out back through the kitchens, just
Is there a way onto any street from the kitchen garden?
You can't really tell. Dark vision doesn't spread that far. But it's out of the tavern.
Yep. Going
Oh.
to step clear of the back door of the tavern, bringing Darwin with me. Guidance myself again. I love cantrips. And just take a moment to look.
Okay, perception.
I'll look as well. So that's going to be a separate check?
Yeah, I guess
Creature?
it is, because you declared it after she was already
Right.
rolling.
My bad. 18.
Yeah, Hazel is looking, given her time at the bubble farms and everything, is looking at this going, they can't possibly grow this stuff underground. And Darwin is the one who hears the creak of the hinges of the back door just as it slams shut and seals itself over. The reason that Hazel is distracted by the plants is because no, these are not plants that grow underground. They are not plants that grow in Gray's Inn. This looks a lot like an fairly denuded, rather twisted and dead version of the kind of kitchen garden that is at the back, or was at the back of the Golden Bough before it burned to the ground. And when Darwin sort of takes a step back to have a quick look at
At the door, yeah.
that looks less like a burned out husk of the Golden Bough, but a rather gunge strewn one.
Ooh. So the inn is, I'm realizing, looks like
Mm-hmm.
Hazel? This is familiar. I think we're at a very twisted version of the Golden Bough.
When
Something very weird going on here.
Yeah, when Hazel looks up, it's not the kind of dark that you find underground. It's the dark you find in Goldendale at night.
Grab a hold of symbol. I'm going to try something. Cast protection from evil on myself. I'm looking for the effect, whether or not this is like a weird magical charm possession or other weird hoodoo that's screwing with our heads. Trying to see if the protection will let me
This is
filter.
This is a cleric thing. Currently, connection to Paylor is spotty.
Oh, I don't like that at all. Like bubble glows, then flicker, gone. I don't like this at all.
The one thing
Like
you
being
did,
hemmed in for one.
the one thing you did get in that brief moment when it flickered is there is a way out of this. You just have to find it. And unfortunately, because whatever it is that's interfering with your connection to Paylor, you can't completely rely on Paylor's help at this stage. Not until you find the way out.
Garden. Where's the way out? Where's the way out? I'm trying to just remember where the way out would have been if I'd ever managed to trip into there and.
Give me a wisdom check, because it's what you're gonna need. There's two options. One's closer than the other. Those people are your family. There are two places you find family. One is the Shrine of Pelor, where you generally find Lyra. And the other, possibly more likely, is home.
I want to try for the shrine first.
Because she hasn't been saying much to Darvin, so Darvin has no idea what's going on.
Yeah, I'm just watching. I'm watching the facial journey, and what do you think? What do you think?
I'm looking for where to go.
Well, if it's as long as the geography fits, and the geography does fit, you just kind of have to step over. Hopefully not in, because whatever happened to Benson's particularly good carrot patch, it does not look like a particularly good carrot patch anymore. And just head across the sort of the top of the township to the shrine. Because remember, they were both opposite sides of the main road.
All right, so I'm going to get as close to the edge of where this is, pulling Darvin along.
Can I? I can't. Now that we're not in the inn, is there any light for me to see by at all?
It's
or is it like? Is it the lichen
again,
or is it
no
nothing?
lichen? Not really all that much in the way of star either. You know the approximate shape of the golden bough and its garden, but navigating is going to be hard because you currently don't have no moon, no stars, and that's the thing. I mean, you've been to Goldendale a few times, and unless you're deep in deep in tree cover in the orchard, there's always stars.
Yeah. So I'm like, well, I know obviously this ain't right. I'm not sure what's going on or why we ended up where we ended up or how we ended up where we ended up. But I mean, I'm gonna go with it because I ain't got much choice. But
Darvin,
Hazel, what do you
need you to get ready.
What are you thinking? Like, can you tell me what we're doing before we do it, please?
Well, there's something getting in our way here, and I'm gonna need you to get ready to tuck and roll. And I make to essentially lift Darvin up.
Okay.
Before I shot put him.
Okay, give me an athletics check.
I'm not resisting this, but I'm really confused.
And as I'm like, once I get him sort of up into a position, I'm gonna guidance.
No.
No.
No, your connection to Pelor
doesn't work.
Way
Oh
too
boy,
spotty.
This is fun. Even the cantrips are fizzling.
You don't know where you are, but this is bad.
You said athletics?
I said athletics. You yeet Darvin directly into the wreck and ruin of Benson's prize carrot patch. Thankfully, the carrot patch is not particularly evil in and of itself. He kind of clunk his head on the fence, but Hazel's not having a good day.
Ow. Ow.
He's so paranoid. I am so sorry. I'm gonna walk over, give him a once-over, make sure I didn't clonk him too badly.
Can you get me out of whatever I landed in? I think this is.
Yeah, I'm gonna try and go over, try and get him out of this thing.
You can take 20 for that one.
Okay.
Yeah, you can just hop the fence. It's not a very tall fence.
I'm just gonna. So I just kind of. I mean, I can see vague shape of. Okay, I'm gonna step over this. Is that cool with you?
Yes.
Okay. So this is
I'd be afraid of the
apparently
holes in the carrot patch that you ended up landing in anyway.
Okay. Well,
Yeah, that doesn't look like a carrot patch to you. You
okay,
never
so-
never saw the carrot patch at the Golden Bough.
I mean, make sure that I'm okay. But so what I'm gathering, this is a weird.
This is essentially Golden Dale.
Yeah,
Or
the
it looks like it, and
the reflection of it, or not reflection because everything would be flipped, but you get what I mean. Okay, it's home, but not. So, what are you thinking? I mean, the two safest places.
mine first.
Okay, yeah, because that's
That's where I'm
closer.
ready for what
Oh,
home would look like. Okay.
That's fair. That's fair. That's fair. Let's go to where the shrine would be in relation to. Okay, so if that's there, that's there. Well, you know where it is better than me. So, I mean, I've only been there, what, 3, 4 times?
Do my best to lead the way.
Well, yeah, and you can see.
And I'm going to leave you both there for the time being.
Okay.
While we deal with Ava and Clarity. You guys have headed. This is more house-ish than anything else. I mean, there's a lot of the homes are either, kind of like those row houses or freestanding, blocky kinds of structures. But this appears to be the start of a residential area rather than anything else.
Looks like houses. Suppose we would just look into one.
Yes.
Ava, perception check with advantage because Clarity will be helping. There's one house in one spot in one of the row houses off to the end where, while it's too dark inside to see into the place through the window does look cleaner than the others.
Does that window look cleaner than the rest to you?
Yeah, that's a little suspicious, isn't it?
Just a bit.
And it does look, I mean, it's not, given you're looking a little bit closer, there's still a fair bit of dust on the door, but given a handprint and some rust flakes on the ground nearby, it looks like somebody's been in that house recently.
Someone's been here recently. Do we hear any sounds of movement from the inside?
Nope. You didn't roll that well. And to be fair, those walls they're stone and they look pretty thick.
Okay.
I'm gonna look at the door, see if it's locked or trapped.
I'm peeking into the window, see if there's any movement.
Okay, that's gonna be set. That's good. Well, I'll keep Ava's perception check. You're not seeing any movement in there. You don't have dark vision. You cannot see particularly well at this point at all. But there's certainly no lights in there. Clarity, give me a perception check on the door.
Yeah, seems fine.
Seems fine.
Oh no!
And there is a lock on it, but it doesn't seem to have been locked. In fact, it looks when you nudge the door like whoever tried to open the door just wound up breaking the lock. So it's sort of stuck in the open position. And what little you can see from what little light you have coming into there is it doesn't look to you like the most comfortable of front rooms, but then again, it's not like they've got a whole lot in the way of textiles here. It's just a table, a couple of benches, mostly in stone. They've managed some pillows. You're not entirely sure just looking from the door, the doorway, but it's entirely possible that what soft furnishing there is silk, of the spider variety. That's probably one of the few textiles they have down here.
Spider silk. As far as the fabric, that seems to go with the theme.
And
I'm going to.
And mostly what Ava's seeing in that little bit of light in the door is there are footprints, mid-sized humanoid shoes. That's about all you've got.
Not hearing anyone now. Well, they could be hiding.
You think they might still be here? How recent do you think those footprints are?
Fairly, but it's they could have gone out a window, a back door.
Fairly recent, but could have gone out a window, back door.
Well,
Could be anywhere.
we should go carefully just in case. I'm gonna stealth.
Okay.
I'll try and sneak after.
Both of you, I'll take an average.
20.
You go in various degrees of stealth, and once you've crossed moderately into the threshold, the door creaks shut behind you. For a moment, not even Clarity can see anything in the room, but as her dark vision kicks in a bit more, you both get the feeling just before that the space got bigger in that second. And when Clarity can see, this is a much bigger front room, but it looks more like a large reception hall. She hasn't seen big noble manors, but she's seen smaller ones, mostly the libraries, but she's taken peeks into rooms. This is a fairly large manor hall. And it's wrecked.
See anything?
There's scorch marks on the stone and the wood of the walls. There is a lot of blood. And charred bodies that you think are wearing leather with some, metal breastplate armor. And given you probably don't need to see color for that, and you've seen you've seen various of Ava's bits and pieces, the crest on those is what's been identified to you as the Vanadar family crest. It would appear that you are sealed into a version of the Vanadar Manor. And Ava can't see any of this.
Nope. Probably not the worst thing at the moment.
Ava.
What's that voice just going? What's going on?
To your place, where you're from.
Yeah.
I don't know what it looks like, but I do see your family crest everywhere.
And she's just taken out. She's taken out Gleam, given a whistle, and yeah, this was your entry hall. You didn't see what happened when you were left for dead and ran, because you went out a secret servant's passage. You never saw what happened to the manor. Now it would appear you are.
I'm alright.
Grisly sort of scene, huh?
Guess this was before it was burned down.
Well, no, it looks, to be fair, most of your manor was stone. It burned. It didn't necessarily burn down.
True.
I'll give her a squeeze on the shoulder. I don't know how we ended up here, but where do you think we should go? It's your place.
Ava, you've been on the receiving end of this kind of nastiness before. This doesn't feel like His Majesty, though. This feels worse. But there's one good thing about having been messed about that much by His Majesty. You get a feel for... Well, first of all, you're a little bit easier to harden to it. And secondly, well, you get a feel for how you're supposed to react in these situations. You're looking for a way out. And while you don't entirely remember at this stage the path from the entry hall to the escape route you took, you do remember the way from your bedroom to the escape route you took. It will involve going through bits of the house you never saw, and you don't know what will be in your way, if anything. But this kind of horror and fuckery, if you're going to get out of here, because this is somebody fucking with you on a mental and emotional level, you're gonna have to get out the way you got out the first time. Of course, Clarity has no idea. Clarity's managed to be spared all this crap until now.
I am so sick and tired of people screwing with my brain. The only thing I can think of is going out the way I left the first time.
Well,
Which I guess would be this way.
And since we're at about that time, we'll handle Remy and Barnabas and what's happening with the other ones next session, which should give us, the Ava Clarity thing, I've got some other stuff in mind for, so I'll be able to NPC Ava easier without you missing out on the horrible gut wrench, so... It could be worse. Look at it this way, it could be worse. If you were going to be here next session, it probably would be, but it could be worse. Anyway, so when we meet up again in 2 weeks' time, we'll have a little bit of a Sargasso Sea thing going on. So I think some of you
I fucking knew the minute the doors started shutting and the environment started fucking just switching.
You know where I got half of this campaign from. And you
and the other half you got from Horde of the from Horde of the Dragon Queen.
No, because I've never even fully read that. I just took Tiamat in my own direction. Actually, I took it at least partially from the Chroma Conclave arc, and basically I took the Vecna arc and the Chroma Conclave arc, and I kind of mushed.
Then you made them the overarching thing instead of...
Oh, and I added some other bits, but anyway, point being that there's going to be some fun next session, so I will see you then.
See you then.